They weren't lying, guys. It's real. People out here taking pictures. They don't even believe it. $8. $8.21. You might as well get you a horse. Feed is me.
Yeah, welcome back with another banger. Yeah. Hit that like, sub it up, the react files. Hit that like, sub it up, the react files. Y'all feel me? Let's run it.
Our flight leaves in an hour. I just got a message saying please arrive 3 hours early because of delays.
We're in the parking garage. This isn't even through the airport or downstairs. Let's now move. The back of the line is out there.
Back inside the airport.
We still have to go all the way around and then over there. This is insane. Where?
Yo, gas is now over $8 in Los Angeles. Look at this, $8.21 a gallon. This is out of control. The context here is that 20% of the global oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has shut down since the beginning of the war. As a result, oil prices are the highest it's been since the pandemic, surging to over $110 a barrel. But by comparison, $8 a gallon doesn't seem so bad when you look at this Guardian reporting saying that Great Britain only has 2 days of gas remaining. But here's the good news. The Trump administration says, don't worry, things are all good. We just gotta trust the plan.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're gonna have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term. Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain. Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short-term.
Short-term.
Short-term, 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 and long-term.
Short-term blip.
Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Any questions?
Yes. We all want to know when it's gonna go back down. Shout out to 5149 James Lee. I just find it wild that they have the same talking points across every freaking network. If it's $8 a gallon now, could you imagine 6 months from now? I wouldn't be surprised if that bad boy hit 10.
You're telling me that you're gonna fake some terrorist thing just to get some money out of Congress?
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Hennessy, I have no idea how to fake killing 4,000 people. So we're just gonna have to do it for real. Oh, blame it on the Muslims, naturally. Then I get my funding. Good night, old girl. Timothy, I'll be in chopper 1.
Hey, check this out.
This is not a play, this is real life, and you can get out. Christine, call me if you need me. Or my cane.
Please get the money.
Couldn't even sneak off somewhere.
Justina wasn't what it looked like.
There it goes.
We were rehearsing Joan of Arc.
I don't remember Joan of Arc kissing anybody. You show me in here where Joan of Arc kisses somebody, then we have no problem.
Question is, why did they change that? What you're looking at is the Cosby Show. In the original version, you see they're talking about Joan of Arc. In the streaming version, it's altered. My question is, why take that out? Why go through the trouble of something that's already pre-taped, pre-recorded, pre-edited? For what reason? Obviously, there's a reason for that. And the question is, how many things do they do that to? They're going to do it to the Cosby Show. You think they ain't going to do it to news? You think they're not going to do it to historical events? Why take the manpower? Why devote that energy to changing something as so simplistic as the Cosby Show? TL Cross caught this and somebody sent it to me and it's spot on. I have no idea why they would actually edit that and then put it out on streaming services. And how many things are like that? How many things that we see or we notice and we're like, or we call it the Mandela effect, or people call us nuts, or people say we're misremembering, and then they actually are changing things. It's bigger than the Cosby Show for sure. Let me know if you caught any of these. Let me know if you get any other unusual suspects, because it's obviously happening. Out to the TL Cross, because spot on, great catch. Let me know what you think. It's up.
That was a great catch. Out of all them episodes, to catch that particular one, it just shows you maybe the Mandela effect is fabricated. Shout out to Timelines 57.
Your peripheral nervous system has a literal remote control on it. You know what a remote control is? See that little thing there? This right here? Electro-optical. Welcome to your nervous system, human. How come they won't tell you that they have the ability to log in? Melania talked about it with all the students that they're going to use it on with all the software 6 months ago. Companies were there at the White House. Keep them stupid. Don't tell them that we have them by their nerves. Make them afraid of nanobots. No nano.gov. Make our own young people commit the Mao Revolution on the United States. All the old people are screaming, aliens and Jesus, they're dumb as a post. When it comes to what CMS Medicare is doing, right now today, 6 months ago in Congress, burned down the fax machine. The adults in this country, no idea. We're waiting on Jesus and aliens, courtesy of General Flynn and Alex Jones. Those are the same groups of people who poll, aren't you? Looking the other way, helping others get set up, big old fight that was now etched into human history as real, even though it was all pre-planned. Oh, we're gonna. Nope. No, you are not. So, since this is what everybody's still doing, I advise every single one of you that wants to save your own posterior, work with the people you love, and have a real shot at surviving electronic, electro-optical, acousto-optical warfare. Get the PDF, start working with your own anatomy, and the systems that they're using. It is possible, but you gotta get honest. You can't keep telling people ghost stories. And I don't think they want to do that. I think they very much want to continue to play with people, harvest their energy. Got more white papers coming with that. And that's not going to change. This is truly where I'm at, because we've had so long now. For any of them that could have said something, we can come together. They don't want that. If they wanted to come together, they would have told everyone, here's your biology back. Here are the options we have. Or here's access to your own W-band data, which we do not have. They don't even admit that they're doing it. Okay? But it's always for our good, and they love you. They have to tell people what they're doing. They are not. So that means it's on us to tell one another. Welcome to the Synergy community.
They took a fly's consciousness and put it inside of a computer, and the fly woke up inside of the computer and started living its life, proving that consciousness is nothing more than information that you can put in a zip file and send to other places, and the file will open and work. All you have to do is scale this technology up a bit, and you can take a human's consciousness and send it into a virtual reality program, and the person would walk around and be able to exist within that program. The implications of this, people are talking about how they'd be able to make biological AI computers. That is an implication, but what's more important is the fact that this proves that they can snatch your consciousness from you and place it in other places. And I have been saying for over 4 years now that this technology exists, and other people like myself have been blowing the whistle on this technology being real for decades. There's a reason that Epstein was interested in human cloning, neuroscience, and all of these things that come together to what? To make human consciousness transferal and being able to wake up a person in a clone body or reality. There is mention of them creating on Epstein Island zombie and other weird stuff. Comment if you found anything else in this vein in this vast trove of files. I'd love to learn more, but it is in there. I've already seen some of it. And what I want you to realize is he had a giant underground cloning facility. He had more than one. There was one in Nevada and one on the island. And one was connected to Los Alamos and military programs, and the other one was just, his own thing that he had going on, his own little playground that he was using for blackmail operations and to curry favor with people. That's the reason why Stephen Hawking was obsessed with Marilyn Monroe. He was able to hook him up with her down there in the cloning facility, and not only that, Stephen Hawking was able to have an able body. So this isn't just about putting people's consciousness into computers. You need to realize that they can put your consciousness into a clone body, and that they use this to enslave people. I have been enslaved in this manner. It's been used as a form of sexual enslavement, but also I'm in military programs. When Gary McKinnon hacked NASA, it showed that they have miles-long starships with all sorts of personnel on them and itineraries. A lot of these people are people like me, clones of people from Earth, out there living whole other lives. And you can either be a caveman and stare at me in disbelief and drool and decide not to believe me and protect these fucking terrorists and their technology, or you can start doing your own research and connect the dots because it's fucking real and I'm not lying.
That's a lot to break down, but he's right. Gotta connect the dots and do your own research. I ain't gonna knock the hustle. Shout out to Bloth Arkeem Ra. Sounds like an episode out of Black Mirror. Once again, I don't know why, I just began to think about GTA 6 and NPCs within the game. Could you imagine some stuff like that? That'd be wild.
The internet is going crazy right now about what may have happened inside of this tunnel in New Mexico. So this tunnel is off of the 84 in New Mexico near Santa Fe, and it seems to have been referenced in the Epstein files. So as you can see here, there's the EFTA number in the bottom right-hand corner, and this appears to be an email sent by a potential survivor/victim to an officer, and this person seems to be describing an event that happened in the tunnel. So they say here, I was not a prostitute before meeting Mike Levine. I don't know who Mike is. It was he who forced me into it, threatening the life of my niece. If I had been in prostitution, he would have never had to do this. I did what he asked or forced me to do. I told him it hurt, but he didn't care. He had a mission and he accepted what he did to me as collateral damage. I understand I was an adult then, but wanted you to know that Ghislaine was procuring young girls before 1994. To me, she was the mastermind behind the scheme, and they basically talk about Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell trafficking this woman, doing terrible, terrible things to her, but she keeps referencing this tunnel. Right here, they state, there was an error in my last email. The tunnel off roadway 84 is on the left side of the road, 84, not right side, as I stated in the earlier email. The large turnout is nearby tunnel entrance and is also on the left side of 84. The tunnel is hiding in plain sight. And then down here, she also states, as you can see right here, M. Levine introducing me to Maxwell/Epstein was around the same time of the pictures I sent you, and him taking me to the tunnel. I feel it was all done to terrify me into submission. I appreciate you and others allowing me to purge what has been tormenting my life for nearly 40 years. I hope it helps you knowing she was doing these terrible things in the early 80s. So this seems to be an email ratting on Ghislaine Maxwell, but the internet is talking about what the hell happened in this tunnel. And obviously I'm curious as well. This seems to be something that terrified this victim, and yet the email before this is not present in the Epstein file. Nobody has been able to track down the message sent by this alleged victim/survivor, which would contain the allegation of what allegedly went down in that tunnel. However, people have been able to find the tunnel, or what they believe is the tunnel, and I was actually just in New Mexico last week. If I would have been there right now, I would have gone out here to check out, what potentially could be in this area or inside of the tunnel. But I do know that whatever allegedly happened here doesn't sound too good. Interestingly, also on the post that I found talking about this tunnel, there were a number of what seems to be bot accounts that were attacking the original poster. And a lot of people were commenting saying, wow, the bots really came out for this one. You're onto something. So it seems like this tunnel has some sort of importance, but we just don't know what that is. I'll keep you guys updated though if I find out more.
These bots are crazy these days. Shout outs to the paranormal files. Shout outs to New Mexico. That's wild. If anyone knows about this, let us know in the comments down below. Reminds me of what the guy said in the video before this one, where they was making zombie corn and cloning sensors. I would not be surprised.
This is really weird. 2 days ago, a TikTok user named Dustin Goodroad made this video about this physical book that he had found called King of the Jews, a novel of the Holocaust by Leslie Epstein. The original TikToker is pointing at the striking coincidence that a book named King of the Jews was written by Epstein about a protagonist named I.C. Trumpelman. This book, set during the Holocaust, is about a con man who pretends to be a doctor, leaves the ghetto, and then returns to lead it. This is Leslie Epstein, the author of that book. He was summa cum laude at Yale and a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford. From 1978, he taught a graduate creative writing class at Boston University. Some of his students went on to win Pulitzer Prizes. Epstein is one of the oldest Ashkenazi Jewish surnames. It derives from the small German town of Epstein in Hesse. These two men are identical. There is no denying that chin. Ashkenazi Jews emigrating to the United States used something called a Landsmannschaften, which was basically a mutual aid society, and they were organized by the town of origin. So if you were an Epstein from Epstein, you would join the Epstein Landmannschaft in New York. These societies provided loans, burial plots, jobs, and housing. It was a trust network. You showed up with the right name from the right town and doors opened for you. No credentials required. The community vouched for its own. Leslie Epstein's father was Philip Epstein, and he had a twin named Julius. And these two men were screenwriters in early Hollywood. That's Howard Koch. The Epstein twins wrote Casablanca. This is one of the most effective pieces of wartime propaganda ever made. It's a film about a man who runs a nightclub, and the club is a hub where intelligence operatives, refugees fleeing war, and resistance fighters meet and mix. The owner, Rick, has access to everyone. He's apparently neutral. And maintaining that position of nightclub neutrality is what gives him power over all sides. Epstein ran properties. He had his New York townhouse, his Zorro Ranch, and his Little James Island. These properties functioned as hubs where intelligence operatives, scientists, politicians, academics, and compromised individuals could all mix together. He's been seen with everyone from the Queen of England to Mother Teresa to the Prime Minister of Israel to US presidents. And in those circles, he maintained a position of apparent neutrality. Rick's Cafe describes the Epstein operation in 1942. Put these men beside each other and you tell me, do you see a family resemblance here? Let me tell you about the weird timeline. Shortly before the war, the United States government created the House of Un-American Activities Committee. This committee was established to investigate alleged disloyalty and subversive activities, including communist ties among private citizens. It became infamous for its investigations into Hollywood. The options facing anyone named by HUAC were brutal. In 1951, one of the committee's first witnesses, the actor Larry Parks, pleaded, "Don't present me with the choice of either being in contempt of this committee and going to jail, or forcing me to really crawl through the mud and be an informer." If you watched my video last week about a knock, I explained that it is an intelligence acronym that stands for non-official cover. Official cover are those who hold diplomatic passports. If they accidentally get arrested, they have diplomatic immunity. But a knock, a non-official, that's deep cover. They can never admit their connections to the agency. If they get arrested, if they get caught, they have to go to jail. After being called in front of this committee, Parks was blacklisted completely. He could not work in Hollywood again. In 1952, Jack Warner, one of the original Warner brothers, gave Philip Epstein's name to the HUAC. His explanation was, those boys are always on the side of the underdog, but that glosses over the fact that the people he named were all people he was in contractual disputes with. Less than a month after being asked to testify at this House committee, Philip Epstein dies. Randomly. And there's very little information about what happened. Some unverified online sources say that he got sick or that he got cancer, but no one ever checked the death cert. Somebody in California could go today and pay the $30 and get the death cert, and we could find out what it says. Given the hugeness of the Epstein case, it's amazing that nobody's done that. Possibly because they haven't yet connected these jawlines to each other. But I think we should find out what happened to Philip Epstein, because that's in 1952, right? Flip over to the East Coast, and a man who zero photographs exist of, named Seymour Epstein, marries a woman named Paula. Less than a couple of months after Philip Epstein dies, Seymour Epstein gets married in New York. Seymour Epstein is a person that did exist, and in 1941, they joined the army. Then there is an 11-year gap in any kind of public records to say that this person existed. He does not show back up on any records from 1941 to 1952 on the marriage certificate. That is a very odd anomaly. Paper tripping is a documented intelligence technique where a dead person's identity is repurposed for an undercover officer. The fact that Seymour Epstein went into the United States Army in 1941, just before the war, and is not seen on paper again until 1952 when he marries Paula, might suggest a repurposed identity. Do you think that these two men look like brothers with this as the father, or am I just being a conspiracy theorist? Let's go back to Casablanca for a second. During the filming of this movie, the OSS was physically in Casablanca. The OSS is the Office of Strategic Services. This was the wartime precursor to the CIA. If you've been keeping up on Epstein lore, you'll know he got his job in the Dalton School from Donald Barr. Donald Barr was an OSS officer. Warner Brothers is believed to have rushed the premiere of Casablanca to align with headlines on Operation Torch, a real war exercise. Then, the general release of this film was timed for January 1943, and it just happened to coincide with the Casablanca conference where Roosevelt and Churchill met in Casablanca to plan the next phase of the war. This movie was not a representation of war. It was the war. Literally. The extras in the famous La Marseillaise scene, where the cafe patrons drown out the officers singing, were actual Jewish refugees. Many of them in this scene are crying real tears because they are singing their national anthem in exile. Let's go back to this weird book that started it all. I See Trumpelman, written in 1979 by an Epstein. Here is the character description, word for word, from the publisher. A man whose fancy determines the fate of others. Check. Thrives on the power granted to him. Check. Creates an authoritarian regime of his own. Check. By turns a con man, charismatic leader, and merciless dictator. Check, check, check. The character's name is Trumpelman. The book is named King of the Jews. In August 2019, Trump quoted a conspiracy theorist who called him the King of Israel and said the Jewish people love him like he is the second coming of God. Is that a coincidence of language? Those are the exact phrases from this book. Donald Barr, the OSS officer who hired Epstein at Dalton, he also wrote a kind of weird book. His book is science fiction where a human diplomat becomes entangled with a feudal oligarchy that owns and sexually enslaves human captives. So the spy who gave Epstein his start, wrote a book about an aristocratic network that uses sexual slavery for political power. Tell me in the comments, what do you think the intelligence purpose of these weird books actually is? Do you think Epstein was a lone node or part of a bigger family dynasty?
Yo, that's definitely a dynasty right there. Dude look like he could be his uncle or something. Shout outs to all MC forever. But this great find right here. I didn't know there was so many Epsteins in history. And everything that happened with Casablanca. Yo, that's insane. That's an American movie classic.
Please tell me y'all didn't actually capture this in a photo, because if you did, you're done for. A group of sisters got together for a day out, spending some time in nature, and they took this photo. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but look right here at their legs. Let me move my big head out of the way, but look right there. Do you see it? Now, do you see it? And no, this isn't a camera glitch. And no, there was no random dog without a freaking head at this get-together. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was raised in the South, and I was taught that this is a bad omen. The spectral black dog is around you or in photos or anything like that. This means that something bad is going to happen. Now, this thing is translucent. It has no head. It has a black mist around it, which is also very concerning. And it looks like it may be attached to this sister right here, furthest to the right, or maybe the one right here in the middle. Really wish I could get more information on if anything happened to these two women, but I can say this. It for sure wasn't good. Something happened, and it for sure wasn't good. There's no way it didn't if this thing is in your photos. What do you guys think, and have y'all ever heard about the black dog omen?
It's my first time hearing about it, and it's pretty crazy. That's wild. It's definitely translucent. You can see right through. But man, I hope them ladies were okay. But sure, shout outs to Chelsea. Whoa.
My friends thought I was crazy for saying that Hollywood is filled of vampires, but this video is real.
I guess to drink each other's blood might mislead people, or like people are imagining us with like goblets and we're like Game of Thrones drinking each other's blood. It's just a few drops, but yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes only. It is used for a reason, and it is controlled where it's like, let's shed a few drops of blood and each drink it.
Girl, what do you mean for ritualistic purposes? That's not holy. That's also not natural. Let's not normalize that. Anyways, this is my driver, and maybe she's just method acting from Jennifer's body 10 years ago. I don't know. Something's weird.
I agree. That's very weird. The key word is ritualistic. Shout out to Swaggy Laggy Golf Daddy.
What is going on with our scientists in America? There's a few notable figures that have gone either missing or ended up dead. So there's a few connections going on with some hot topics, Trump connections. So let's break it down. This has been a long time coming, only because if you guys know somebody by the little name of Nikola Tesla, he discovers or rediscovers free energy. Now, if you look into the tower that he was building, he wanted to create free energy for the world, but he was also funded by Edison. Now, when Edison found this out, he cut his funding, destroyed the tower, and then left Tesla dead broke and died alone. Coincidence? Just saying, you guys. So pay attention to what happens when people start to go missing, when people show up dead, and then we have these headlines. We have Trump talking about disclosure now. He tweets this: based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. Anytime we have these things come about, watch what happens to these people. So you have not one, not two, but 3 people who are dead or go missing when all these things are occurring. So first, let's start with Carl Grillmar. He was found dead outside his home, just 75 miles north of Los Angeles. Retired Air Force general who worked on UFO, UAP programs. Now, his name appears in the John Podesta 2016 emails as the person who ran UFO-related lab at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, I've seen this movie before, you guys. A nuclear scientist, an MIT professor by the name of Nuno Loureiro, was shot and killed in Massachusetts. Nuno Loureiro was actually working on magnetic reconnection, in which is, in layman's terms, free energy, the power of the sun without the density of the sun. Now, when he dies, this happens. Trump media to merge with nuclear fusion firm in a $6 billion deal at the same time. So you have all these people who had vital information on nuclear fusion, exoplanets, UAPs, UFOs, and they're missing and dead now, all at the same time, within weeks of each other. Coincidence?
Yo, you can't even use free and capitalism in the same sentence. Shout out to Maverick Approach. It's like the inventors get knocked off and the investors get all the profit.
Did you guys hear what was just announced with BlackRock yesterday? And this is making many people wonder if we're in black swan territory. If you don't know what a black swan is, it's basically when a financial event happens that tanks the market's unfathomable amounts in like seconds. So for the first time in history, BlackRock is halting withdrawals. $26 billion is blocked. And you may be thinking like, to hell with BlackRock, like good, let them go down. But here's the problem. Yes, BlackRock is, they're taking over everything. But if they crash, so does your local gas station. So does all the companies they own, which is like our world right now. People want to cash out of BlackRock, but they said no. System is cracking, panic is spreading, and liquidity is gone. So investors wanted 9.3% of their money back, and BlackRock fully said no, which entails like they don't have it or something else is going on. I'm sure this is like a controlled burn, part of the new financial system they want to implement, right? Basically, the private credit market is in the tubes right now. But with rising oil, war in the Middle East, AI shaking things up, more and more layoffs because of AI, and rate cuts are off the table. And then one of the world's biggest funds says you can't get your money back. This is a massive red flag. And I'm sure none of it is a coincidence either.
I agree. That's a massive red flag. All they wanted was 9.3%, less than 10. They couldn't give them that out of 26 billion. Red flag for real. Shout outs to Shane Vibes Truth.
These teenagers may be Israel's future operatives in an espionage battle against Iran. They learn about Iranian history and culture and sing in the Persian language.
I'm Reuters' Rinat Harash at Ben Gurion High School in the Israeli city of Petah Tikva. These high schoolers behind me may be Israel's future operatives in an escalating shadow war with Iran. They are enrolled in a unique university-level program titled Iran, Security and Intelligence. They're currently studying for their final exams, focusing on Farsi grammar, translations, and contemporary Iranian affairs. When drafted for their mandatory military service at age 18, they will be natural candidates for key positions in Israel's intelligence services. Because of their candidacy, the program managers requested we do not publish their full identities.
One wild card is Pakistan. So during the 12-day war, Pakistan supported Iran. But after that, a few months after that, Saudi Arabia signed a mutual defense pact with Pakistan. So if Saudi Arabia is attacked, Pakistan must come to its aid. And we know that Pakistan has nuclear weapons. So it is very likely that at some point, Saudi Arabia will join this war on behalf of the Americans. Because the animosity between Saudi Arabia and Iran go way back. Iran is a theocracy. Saudi Arabia is a monarchy, and they see each other as heretical, okay, as against Islam. The Iranians hate Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is the home of Mecca and Medina, the two holiest sites in the Islamic world. At the same time, they host a lot of American soldiers. These are infidels in the eyes of the Iranians, and so the Iranians are heavily interested in trying to topple the Saudi regime. And they're going to apply pressure to cause uprisings throughout the GCC. And I believe that at some point, the Saudi government will decide to enter this war. And if they enter this war, then Pakistan is obligated to enter this war as well. If the Americans were to launch a ground invasion, it would make sense to attack from multiple vectors. And one vector would be from Pakistan. Another vector, of course, would be from Iraq. The last vector would be from Azerbaijan. They would also try to seize the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible in order to maintain global trade. So that in the short term, we can expect the entire Middle East to be engulfed in this war at some point. In the long term, eventually, the Southeast Asian economies will have to intervene. So South Korea and Japan are extremely reliant on oil from the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, they would basically starve to death if it were not from this oil from the Strait of Hormuz. But there's a wild card, and that's North Korea. So if you're North Korea and you are analyzing the situation, you recognize that now's the perfect opportunity to threaten South Korea because Americans are distracted in the Middle East, and the South Koreans don't have access to the oil they need to protect themselves against the North Koreans. So just threaten South Korea, and then the Americans are forced to divert their attention back to Southeast Asia, and Japan is forced to come into this conflict as well. And the North Koreans aren't doing this to start a war. That would be suicidal. They're doing this to extort as much as possible from South Korea and Japan. And so I expect that to happen as well. The Western Hemisphere will not be quiet this time, because while this is happening, Trump is still intent on toppling the Cuban government, okay? So it's possible 2 weeks from now, while this war is still raging, Trump attacks Cuba or Mexico or Colombia. It is complete insanity. But this is, again, unfortunately, this is the way an empire behaves as it declines.
He said, this is how an empire behaves before it declines. I agree. It sounds like insanity. Shout out to Professor Zhang and Predictive History. With these 2 wild cards, it sounds like they're the missing pieces to WW3.
C'est toi qui as commencé. C'est toi qui as commencé. C'est toi qui as commencé.
Vous l'avez frappé le premier.
C'est toi qui as commencé. C'est toi qui as poussé la femme. C'est toi qui as commencé.
Agresseur. Lui, il est un agresseur. Il agresse tout le monde. Il agresse les agresseur. Malade. Vous êtes des malades. Vous êtes que des malades. Vous êtes que des malades. Vous êtes des malades. Il a fait ça. Il a vraiment fait ça.
Il est fou, lui. Oh, regarde comment il pleure.
Maman, c'est nous qui repartons.
This is Israel's war. The worst possible case scenario is Iran says, okay, you humiliated us, you all of our leaders. We're going to go make this a regional mess and try to get as many people involved as possible. They're going to go after Americans. They're going to go after Saudis. They're going to go after everybody imaginable. Because understand, the Iranian people are widely respected and not necessarily are always in sync with leadership. But if and when the people of Iran feel like Persia is being defaced and humiliated and disrespected, we don't know where that is going to go. And that's my final reason why I am always skeptical of military intervention. And when a lot of the sometimes warmongering wing gets too excited, you don't know, actually. You need to have a lot of humility. But I can say concretely, here's where I stand and where the MAGA base stand. We do not want U.S. boots on the ground. We do not want American kinetic involvement. This is Israel's war.
That's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed the deep dive. If you enjoyed this video, please consider to give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Shout outs to all the reactors. Thanks again. Till next time.